Late last week, the state's governor, Phil Scott, a Republican, submitted under pressure and did not veto a bill that could force oil companies to pay hundreds of millions of dollars for their contributions to climate change. It's the first state to pass a law like this, modeled after federal legislation that required big polluters to pay to clean up toxic messes that they make. It would be the first time it's applied to carbon pollution's impact on climate change. Lots of organizing and activism combined with massive flooding last summer, the worst in the state in nearly a century, motivated passage of the legislation. The executive director of the Vermont Public Interest Research Group, the old Vermont PIRG, Paul Burns, said in a statement, quote, "For too long, giant fossil fuel companies have knowingly lit the match of climate disruption without being required to do a thing to put out the fire. Finally, maybe for the first time anywhere, Vermont is going to hold the companies most responsible for climate-driven floods, fires, and heat waves financially accountable for a fair share of the damages they've caused." What happens next is the state is going to do research on the total cost to Vermonters in the state from the emission of greenhouse gases from January 1st, 1995 to December 31st, 2024. The report is due in 2026. The state will then ask companies to pay up based on their share. The Associated Press reported that the funds would then be used to help finance climate resilience projects on things like upgrading stormwater drainage systems, upgrading roads, bridges, and railroads, relocating, elevating, or retrofitting sewage treatment plants, and making energy-efficient weatherization upgrades to public and private buildings. Now, that's all assuming that oil companies actually pay up. They're going to do everything they can not to, including sue and take their chances with the industry-friendly federal judiciary. The American Petroleum Institute, the largest interest group for big oil, is freaked out about the law in Vermont as well as similar legislation moving in Maryland, Massachusetts, and New York. It claimed that the law is unconstitutional and that it retroactively imposes costs and liability on prior activities that were legal. Oh no, poor oil companies getting punished for stuff that they couldn't possibly have known was harmful. I mean, if only there was a half century of research proving their emissions are creating a greenhouse effect that is warming the planet with adverse effects, research that they conducted themselves. Reading from a report published in the Science Journal last year, quote, "Our results show that in private and academic circles since the late 1970s and early 1980s, ExxonMobil predicted global warming correctly and skillfully. Using established statistical techniques, we find that 63 to 83% of the climate projections reported by ExxonMobil scientists were accurate in predicting subsequent global warming." Your Honor, I'd like to submit the People's Exhibit A into evidence. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of our new videos. Also, if you want to see Means Morning News in its complete form, not just the clips we post here, head on over to Means TV and get access to all our new episodes and our entire backlog, plus tons of other great movies and original TV shows.